It was a typical morning in Los Angeles. The sky stretched wide, a clear blue expanse inviting something special to unfold. Keanu Reeves, one of the most admired actors in Hollywood, walked the streets with quiet confidence. Dressed in a worn leather jacket and faded jeans, he moved without the pomp or pretense of fame. He had always been this way, grounded, humble, never allowing stardom to change the way he treated people. A simple smile here, a polite nod there. Even as some pedestrians recognized him, he remained unfazed, his presence blending seamlessly into the city's rhythm. Midway through his walk, he stopped at a familiar cafe, a place he had frequented for years. The scent of fresh coffee filled the air as he stepped inside. "Good morning, Oliver," he greeted warmly. The barista, a middle-aged man with a kind face, smiled. "Morning, Keanu." "The usual?" "The usual, please." As he waited, his mind drifted. For months he had been searching for something. Not just any car, but something rare, something meaningful. He wasn't looking for luxury or status. He had an idea in mind, a purpose. Perhaps a restoration project, maybe even a donation to a worthy cause. With coffee in hand, he continued on his journey, heading toward an upscale car dealership renowned for its exclusive high-end models. If he was going to find something unique, it would be here. As he stepped through the gleaming glass doors, the atmosphere shifted. The air smelled of new leather, the floors shined under the showroom lights, and the hushed conversations of wealthy clientele filled the space. Salespeople dressed in sharp suits moved about, catering to well-dressed customers adorned with expensive accessories. Keanu, in his simplicity, was almost invisible. Almost. A few discreet glances were exchanged, whispers, curiosity, skepticism. Ignoring the murmurs, Keanu focused on what he came for. At the back of the showroom, a rare model caught his eye. A car from another era, its classic curves and immaculate finish standing out among the rest. He ran his fingers along the bodywork, feeling the craftsmanship beneath his touch. This was it. "Excuse me," he said, approaching a salesman who was idly scrolling through his phone. "Could you tell me more about this model?" The salesman barely looked up. "Hang on, I'll get someone." Without another word, he turned and walked away. Keanu remained by the car, his face impassive, but there was a shift in his expression, barely perceptible. A slight furrow of the brow. He wasn't offended, not yet, but something in the air had changed. He could hear them now. "Does he even know where he is?" one employee whispered. "He doesn't look like someone who can afford anything here," another muttered. Keanu let out a slow breath, rubbing his chin as he examined the car. He chose to ignore them, for now. Moments later, the manager arrived. Richard, a man whose every movement exuded authority, or at least the kind of authority he thought mattered. He stopped a few feet away, arms crossed, sizing Keanu up. "This model is exclusive," Richard said, his voice carefully measured. "That's exactly what I'm looking for," Keanu replied, polite but firm. The manager smirked, his gaze flickering over Keanu's attire. "I hope you're ready. This car isn't for just anyone." Keanu met his gaze without flinching. A silent challenge passed between them. Richard took a step closer, his smirk deepening. "You do realize this car costs more than some homes in Beverly Hills, right? It's not something just anyone can take home." Keanu frowned slightly, but remained composed. "I'm aware," he said simply. "That's why I'm here." "Interested. Could you tell me more about it?" Richard chuckled dryly. "Look, I see people like you all the time. You walk in, admire the cars, maybe take a few photos, and leave without spending a dime. If you're here to play pretend, I'd rather you not waste my time." Keanu tilted his head, studying the man in front of him. A slow, measured breath. "What if I'm not here to dream?" he asked. Richard scoffed. "Then I'd say you're in the wrong place. This dealership is for people who can pay, people who have something to prove. And honestly, you don't look like you have either." Silence. Heavy. Oppressive. Keanu's lips curled into the faintest of smiles. "Funny," he said softly. "I always thought the real luxury was treating people with respect." Richard's expression darkened. "You don't tell me how to run my dealership," he snapped, stepping closer. And then in a moment of blind frustration, he raised his fist. It never landed. Keanu reacted instinctively, catching Richard's fist mid-air. The movement was swift, controlled, firm yet without aggression. The room fell into stunned silence. For a moment, Richard stood frozen, disbelief flashing across his face. Keanu's grip was steady, unwavering. His eyes locked onto the manager's, calm but filled with something deeper. "The anger you're feeling," Keanu said quietly, "has nothing to do with me. Maybe it's time to look inward." He released Richard's fist with the same calm restraint. stepping back slightly. The weight of his words hung in the air. Keanu adjusted his jacket and turned toward the exit, but before leaving he glanced back. "Respect doesn't cost a thing," he said, his voice carrying through the showroom. "But for some people, it seems harder to find than any car here." With that, he walked out, disappearing into the sunlight. Inside, the silence remained. Employees stood frozen. Customers whispered in hushed tones. And Richard? He was left standing, humiliated, not by violence but by the quiet dignity of a man who refused to be belittled. But this was far from over. By the next morning, the world knew. A young man in the showroom had recorded everything. The video spread like wildfire across social media. Within hours, Keanu Reeves was a trending topic. The internet erupted. "How can anyone treat Keanu Reeves like this? He's literally the kindest guy in Hollywood. This manager should be fired immediately." Entertainment News picked up the story. The dealership's reputation plummeted. Customers canceled orders. Richard tried to defend himself, but no one was buying it. Employees even came forward, revealing that his arrogance wasn't new. The dealership faced backlash like never before. Meanwhile, Keanu remained silent. No interviews, no statements. He didn't need to say anything. The world spoke for him, and then days later, he returned. Not for revenge, not to gloat, but to prove a point. He walked into a modest dealership, one known for its honesty and warmth. The owner, an older man named Sam, greeted him with a genuine smile. "Welcome. How can I help you today?" Keanu smiled back. "I'm looking for something special, a car that represents something more than just luxury." And there he found it. He took a photo with Sam and his team, posting it with a simple but powerful caption. "True luxury is being treated with respect. Thank you for reminding me of that." The post went viral. Once again, Keanu Reeves had turned a moment of arrogance into a lesson in humility. And the world never forgot.